Hey, we're two fat guys.
And we just watched 34 DC films. Like a month ago. Or like
6 months ago.
5 months ago.
It broke us. It
broke us.
And I can't breathe. Can you breathe?
No, I can't.
I'm gonna just okay. We did the bit. Ow. Ow. Did you go over? Did you go from the back or from the front?
I just pulled from the top. It's not working, so I don't recommend that.
Okay, we're dropping the bottom. I got food on it.
I may have hit the camera with my mask. As it falling off my head. Do you have little things in your eyes?
It's alright. Really worth $10, right?
Yes, for that bit.
So, this past summer,
yeah, Jesus, we
did two stupid things this past summer. Well,
yes,
we did two okay things, but close together.
Yeah, we did one stupid thing, and that was doing the two mildly stupid things.
So close together.
Because, as I'm sure you know, we did our Marvel Madness, our 44 Marvel movies, and then immediately, I don't think we even had a week of a break.
No.
Until we actually started on the DC stuff. We got right into
Steel.
Don't remind me. Even though that's what this whole video is about, is reminding me. But please don't. Yeah, and then we went right into doing 34 DC movies.
And it sort of killed us. I'm sure you could tell.
Yeah.
It's just by the end there, we're like, yeah, whatever, this movie was alright, but fuck us.
Yeah, that was a bad thing that we did.
We're not.
We were exhausted by the end, so we never actually even got around to doing a kind of wrap-up video like we did with Marvel. And
we talked about it. We were like, we should do that. Oh yeah, we should.
Yeah, definitely. Soon we'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
But we, as you can see, we got a new camera. It's not.
They can't see the camera.
Well, they can't see. The picture has to be better. Hopefully the sound is better too. It's not just your laptop's. It's not. Yeah, I mean, I bet at the beginning it sounded the same because we were wearing Bane masks. But
oh man, double filter the Bane mask through the laptop.
Oh gee, no, then they wouldn't. Then we could say anything we want.
It sounds perfectly normal, actually. They cancel out. It's the inverse wave, so
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then there's just no audio.
I can't. They're pantomiming.
Yeah, so we got some new equipment, and we figured now would be a great time to actually do.
We didn't figure that. We figured we have to do this just because.
Well, yeah, we have to do this before we can do anything new.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't even really discussed much.
Yeah, we started to try to sit down and plan out, because last time we did best jokes, best
categories. It was like an award show sort of wrap up. It was, and I put clips in, which I'm not doing this time.
Fuck that noise.
YouTube didn't like that. It was like, you're using third-party content. I'm like,
no, we're not. It's reversed. We flipped it. Don't worry about it. But we couldn't remember most of the movies.
Yeah, we're like, let's come up with our best joke. And I'm like, I don't remember anything.
First, I couldn't even remember what movies we watched, and then when he said them, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
What were lines from those movies?
So that's kind of what we're gonna do. We're gonna go through the list and see what we can remember 5 months later. See what has stuck out truly in our memory and what was just because we had just watched it moments before filming.
Gotta say that now with the new camera, I have just text on the little viewing screen.
Yeah, you can't see your face at all.
So I don't know what sort of wild gestures I'm making with my face.
That you shouldn't, you should stop whatever that is. I know you can't see it, but
it's probably fine. I think I would notice it was weird.
It's not attractive as a face.
I'm knocking all the ladies from this video.
No.
Unlike our last video, it's just knocking down my door. Oh my god, you're one of the fat guys! They sound like that.
Yeah.
Actually, women were yelling that at me for years. You're one of the fat guys. It's really weird. Now I get it. Now
it makes sense. Yeah. Well,
it's so good at travels back in time.
All those bullies were time travelers.
Yep. Exactly.
That makes sense. Okay, so we started with the Superman Fleischer short,
which I loved. I probably mentioned then I took a history of animation class. It reminded me of that because we talked about the Superman Fleischer shorts a lot. Fleischer Studios. the animation's so good it bankrupted the studio.
Yeah.
Much like Batman the Animated Series was so good it bankrupted the studio. Which that's how you know you're doing good animation, when you bankrupt your animation studio because of how good it is. But I
remember very little. I remember
Lois Lane being a
Lois Lane
stupid
is that, yeah, and she's a terrible pilot. I remember that. Just everywhere, and then crashes on the mad scientist's
And then
door.
Doctor
She lands there, and then she's like, "Hey," and he's like, "Oh, good. I was gonna go kidnap someone later, but I can't."
Are you really gonna blow up the world, Mr. Mad Scientist? Yoink!
Yeah, like,
oh no, I'm kidnapped. That's how she sounds.
Damn it, Lois.
And Clark Kent goes missing. They explain what happens to him. He goes missing.
He is so unreliable.
Oh, no.
He's never around.
I mean, luckily Lois writes the stories and Jimmy takes the pictures. I don't even know what he's on staff for.
Nepotism, probably.
Probably. He's probably a Perry White's nephew or something from Kansas.
Then, Batman.
Batman.
The 1989 Batman with Michael Keaton.
Which I remember a lot from, but I don't know how much from this viewing. Like, so I watched the movie a lot as a kid. I was a big fan of it. I love Jack Nicholson's big gun.
Yeah, oh yeah. The
Super
big,
funny bit.
Yeah, he pulls out the insanely long revolver.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Great portrayal of the Joker. It's the first Joker a lot of people get introduced to that Joker. Which, really strikes out when you think of, like, the Heath Ledger Joker, because it's like, I remember when they did the Heath Ledger Joker, I was so excited. It's like, oh, that's so different from it was different from both Jack Nicholson and from Mark Hamill in the animated series. I was very pleased with it. But yeah, Jack Nicholson's great in it. Michael Keaton,
pretty good.
I have so much nostalgia wrapped in him. It's really hard for me to get an accurate opinion of him. Like, he has problems, but some of it might be with the script. Like, Tim Burton's a zany guy. Mm-hmm. And so Michael Keaton given a less zany script might be it might be a really good Batman. I certainly, just because of the nostalgia, would love to do a Dark Knight Returns with him.
Oh yeah, you'd mentioned that.
Mm-hmm. But Batman because it was Tim Burton, I think it didn't let superhero movies establish themselves the way like X-Men did. Which was
it wasn't accessible for any director to just step in and kind of mimic that style and kind of
because it sort of enabled Hollywood to sort of write it off like, okay, well, Tim Burton movies are successful. But I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was a tone that works for a comic book movie. It's not the only tone, as we saw between the two marathons. There are a lot of different tones you can take.
There's a lot of directions you can go.
A lot of directions you can go, and a lot of them actually work.
When you stick to them.
Honestly, sticking to your tone and premise, and mostly and having good writing. You must always have good writing.
Yeah, I think on the earlier point, we're going to talk about that a little when it comes to the spirit, as far as choosing a tone. It's great to see how a lot of these can go different directions and still be good.
Mm-hmm. And Batman and Batman Returns, which we'll get to, are Tim Burton movies. No one's going to mistake them for not Tim Burton movies, yet they are still also very good comic book movies.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, let's truck along. Let's maybe not truck along.
Say it.
Steel.
Yeah, Steel. This is how long it's been. Sam, in our slight prep for this, almost talked himself into thinking Steel wasn't that bad.
No, not Steel, like parts of Steel.
Essentially, we're trying to think of all the different Alfreds, and he's like, just started doing the top list. He's like, well, Steel, and I'm like, well, there's the two Alfreds. Clearly they have to be tied for the worst. He's like, well, maybe they're not. Oh wait, what?
Like, oh god, what am I about to say?
Parts of Steel.
Like, oh yeah, it's officially. That's how long it's been since we watched it. I almost defended Steel.
So mad. Put on that suit. Put on the fucking suit.
Oh Jesus.
Fun fact, after we had done that, Clayton had watched the Superman animated series, and there's a Steel episode. There's like a Steel plot arc. It's like 3 or 4 episodes, and it's equally long until he puts on the suit. It's like it's either like the end of the 2nd episode or like into the 3rd episode of this arc before he puts on the suit. And Clayton's like, put on a suit and fight crime, you asshole.
So that's just a Steel the character thing. It's not a fault in the movie.
Yeah, Shaq is probably really upset. He's like, no, we got to see.
Like, can I put on the suit? And I'm like, well, no, not yet. The character would never put on the suit this early.
He spent a lot of time poorly talking about gun control and missing free throws.
And his mom had a the restaurant idea that we actually wanted
the French.
It was like Black and Blue or
Black and Bleu. Black and Bleu. It was like soul food and French cuisine.
Yeah, I'd eat there.
I would watch a film on that. Like, you can make a perfectly serviceable film about this woman trying to open up a restaurant in the inner city that serves soul food and French cuisine. It's a real character drama. Steel, the character drama.
Still has Shaq in it.
Still has Shaq. I think it happens during the events of Steel.
It's like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Occasionally, you'll see like Steel run past the window in his outfit, and like, oh,
that's true. Like when she saw like him driving on the motorcycle, like that moment will be there. But it'll have a whole different context.
It's a real Back to the Future 2 kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. All right. I'm totally for that. Wait a minute.
So we're gonna get greenlit any day. The
problem with that is we would need to watch Steel again.
I don't think so. I think we can wing it. I don't think anyone's going to watch Steel to call us out on it.
I think you would really need to make sure all those little scenes line up. So
no, you can. Someone would have to watch Steel to make sure of that. I don't think it's going to happen. I think after we finish this marathon, that's the last time any human will watch Steel.
So it's been since July since anyone watched Steel. I've always wondered that. I wish I could track. Take any movie and be able to tell when the last time anybody watched it was.
It's like, who's watching Master of Disguise?
Yeah,
really, guys.
Yeah, you just see there's a running tally of the most recent movies watched by anyone in the world.
I guess I'd be pretty embarrassed though when my name comes up a lot for Good Burger.
People at work were talking about Good Burger the other day
because they're awesome.
Yeah,
people. I defended you people at Sam's work.
No, that marathon would take too long. Movies with people from Saturday Night Live in them.
Do we die?
We could watch it. We could do that with All That. Movies with All That alum.
Do we want to do that though?
We don't want to do any of this. But no, then we get to watch Dodgeball. Because Lori Beth Denberg is in Dodgeball.
But then we got to watch Drumline and...
okay, I've never seen Drumline. I would like to.
There's some drumming in it. There's some interesting drumming.
Is there a line in it?
No. It's big tease.
Never mind then.
They never line up. So that was Steel.
I'm now remembering what it's like to try to talk about movies and then start talking about other random shit. Oh, right! It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman.
Coming soon to a stage near you, Columbus.
God, one can only hope. Are you pitching that to Imagine?
Next year I am. Now this is happening. Guys, hear me out. It's gonna be amazing!
Yeah, they managed to make a Superman musical that didn't require any, special effects. I think Superman flies, maybe once.
And that's just for the TV show, the opening credits.
Yeah.
The opening credits essentially just had him, waist up, doing this in front of clouds.
Yeah, the rest of it is he's just wandering around,
We need him.
Oh, Jesus. And then there's the Gangsters, and they have their song. Oh, yeah. And then one of them said, "Oh, look out, a mugger." And we laughed forever.
It's surprisingly good. It's the right... It knew what it was. That's another thing.
I wonder... I constantly wonder if it did.
I feel like it had to. By the time you're putting...
If that came out today, I would absolutely agree with you. But at the time, that may have just been what someone thought musical theater was.
Well, it's supposed to be sort of a campy musical theater, though. Even at that time, it wasn't supposed to be it's not ironic. Now we sort of like it almost ironically, but it's more post-ironically because we secretly actually do like it. But back then, it was sort of a happy camp musical that they put on the show because that's the sort of thing that were popular back then. Says the guy who was not alive at all back then.
I was gonna say,
take that, pass. I declare your fads.
Yeah, that's one thing. I'm never sure if the older campy stuff is intended to be campy or if that's just.
I mean, the Batman TV show is very popular. I'd say again with no research.
It's very popular now.
So I think it was aware of what it was. It's viewed slightly differently now through the lens of history, but I still think that they were fully aware of what they were making, and it flourishes because of that.
All right, yeah. So, things that don't flourish. Mm-hmm. Justice League of America.
Justice League of America.
The TV pilot
The TV pilot.
That's Jurassic Park.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
That's not in this marathon.
Do-do-do.
Also, you can't hum too many notes of that, or else...
We'll get a flag for
Yeah.
I feel like I wrote lyrics though, so I've added something. It's like flipping a video clip. I'm pretty sure it counts.
Yeah, Justice League of America. My biggest thing I remember from that is just the shitty costumes.
The shitty costumes and like the shitty lineup.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Like flashing...
that's right. On the video, remember we did the first thing. We're like, oh, good, Batman's there, right? Like,
Yep, well, Superman, right?
Like, Surely Aquaman at the very least. Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Martian Manhunter? Oh, yeah, alright, good. Martian Manhunter.
Okay, yeah, like Martian Manhunter, The Flash, and Green Lantern, which it was Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone's favorite Green Lantern, Guy Gardner.
And then he didn't wear green. He was teal.
He was the Teal Lantern.
Oh, I remember hating that.
And they were fighting a weather machine, which I don't know why it takes more than one superhero to fight a weather machine.
They were fighting one of the doctors from Crossing Jordan.
You should punch it or hit the off switch. You're a superhero. The Flash, run up to it and unplug it. You're the Flash.
He's too busy moping. Was he the mopey one?
Why was he moping?
One of the ones was mopey. I don't remember who.
Was it about a lady?
No, because one was just like lazy and like they were like was the awful roommate.
Okay. No, Flash was good roommate. He would clean.
No, he was the one who was mooching off them.
Yes, he was.
So he was like cleaning, trying to be like, "Hey guys, no, I'm cool. Please let me stay." And they're like, sure, buddy. Thanks for cleaning up. I guess maybe that's what I recall. Who knows?
There was an ice woman, I think, Icicle or someone.
Yeah, I think it was just Ice. I'm pretty sure her name was just Ice.
That's right. Oh man,
and then there was.
Maybe we should talk about this. We should talk about the Robot Chicken DC comic special with the ice sketch.
That was pretty good.
Where all the ice power hero the villains attack the same base. Like, we had a schedule, and they all have different ice buns when they show up.
Yeah.
But Justice League of America is not even as good as the opening credits to that. It's bad.
Batman Returns.
Hey, Tim Burton's back.
Christopher Walken. Which I don't think we knew at the time, but we found out later. Pee Wee Herman.
Yes,
is
Mr. Cobblepot.
His like Arthur Cobblepot, maybe is Penguin's dad. And he's like only in the opening, but I don't think we caught that. And if we did, then it has been a really long time since we watched that.
Probably tweeting.
Yeah. Yeah, totally missed that Paul Rubens was in that opening until we were doing like a trivia thing way later.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
That's pretty much all I have to say about Batman Returns.
Yeah, because we talked about a lot of the Tim Burton stuff. It's just more of the same. Michelle Pfeiffer, right? Not bad, past Michelle Pfeiffer. Also not bad current Michelle Pfeiffer. You seen Stardust?
Yeah.
Yes,
we have. As you can tell by the...
Sorry, Michelle Pfeiffer sexes up in a couple of these, like, decades apart, too. Good for you. Good for you.
Do you think she's watching?
Yes. She's one of our 5 viewers.
Our 5 followers? Perfect.
Perfect.
Oh, Jesus. Can I stop this now?
Nope.
We're on 8 of like 34.
Oh,
you already made me hate my life.
Perfect.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Are you just gonna sing every title from here on out?
Have you met me?
Oh, that's a good point. All right. So the Wonder Woman pilot from the 70s.
It's not that wonderful and rarely about women.
1974. Oh man, it's even earlier than I thought.
That is in the 70s.
Well, I thought it was 79. But that's the Captain America stuff.
Captain America.
The Wonder Woman, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Weird.
They put her in a weird costume.
It was a lot like the Captain America in the 70s, where it's like, okay, you sort of vaguely talk about the character's origin story, but you change it, and... Actually, the Captain America was even worse, but I felt like it was similar tonally to the Captain America.
If it was a comic book movie from the 70s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that was rough. I remember. Superman!
We're not even say, is that what we're going to say about...
I don't, that's all I remember.
I remember throwing javelins at one point.
That's right, didn't she catch one?
Yeah, she caught and threw a bag of that.
That's right, because there's another Amazon.
Who joined the world of men. She wanted penis. I don't know. Okay, I don't know.
Maybe that was just your interpretation.
I'm sure I could write a 20-page article on it. But Superman. You'll believe a man can fly.
Solid, yeah. Still solid. I mean, some of that is a little kind of nostalgia, but for the most part, it stands on its own.
Yeah. That and the Richard Donner. Yeah, that.
Yeah, I think Superman 2 holds up, especially the Richard Donner cut. Would be...
Well, especially watching it, because it's been so long since I watched the whole thing, because a lot of it now, I remember catching parts of it on TV and stuff when I was playing, but, just watching it from start to end, I'm like, this is really part of a larger thing. This was epic filmmaking. This was not...
Oh, yeah.
This is not in, a normal movie. This was pretty big deal. It was, filmed back-to-back with Superman 2. It was, Lord of the Rings before there was Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Man.
The effect's shockingly good. Obviously, they have flaws, but shockingly good.
The kind of our modern eyes can see through a lot of what's happening, but it's still good enough to where it holds up.
Mm-hmm. Hell, now in the new Superman movies, I'll still catch, I know how that's flying, I know how that works. But not...
Yeah, man, Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, nailed it. Nailed it for all eternity. That's
I can't even imagine what you I wonder if that would have even had an impact on future comic book movies if they would cast someone who's not as good as Christopher Reeve.
I think
if Superman the movie would have tanked.
I think it would have been fine just because honestly nothing else ever took off. Until the Tim Burton Batman, it was nothing.
Yeah.
It was the Superman franchise, and it was viewed that, that's Superman, that is the superhero, nothing else is going to work.
Yeah.
It was a fluke, and Hollywood refused to believe it was anything but a fluke. Especially when they turned 3 and 4 to, crappy gag pieces.
Yeah.
That helped to further delegitimize Superman, which is a real crime. Because who knows where we'd be at now, and so they may have been at the Avengers, Justice League era a lot sooner had there been more movies.
But then, maybe, if...
Maybe they wouldn't have, yeah.
But then also try to imagine if they would have done Avengers in, the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what that would have looked like, even with a high budget in the early 90s.
Even with Jurassic Park money, it's still...
Yeah. Alright, do the Hulk. Shit. Fuck. No, we can't. They couldn't do the Hulk in 2004.
That's true.
Oh.
Yeah, but we can't say enough good things about Christopher Reeves. He nailed it, and... I'm a little nervous about the new Superman.
I really enjoyed the new trailer. I thought that really helped me out.
The new trailer did help, but I'll still be interested to see how it works. I want to know why he's a crab fisherman, among other things. But I'm just afraid they're going to take it too dark and brooding is the only way to do superhero movies. I'm afraid DC's going to say, okay, this is the only way we know how. This is the only way that it works, because Green Lantern failed and Batman succeeded, so... Therefore, this is the only way that superhero movies work.
Well, if anything, I think the success of the Avengers will change that.
Yeah. And
this was in production, before Avengers came out, so...
I know it's based on All-Star Superman, it's at least partially inspired by All-Star Superman, which gets nothing but rave reviews, written by a fantastic writer. So I'm not I'm not decrying the end. I'm nervous. I think I am fairly nervous. I think it's deserved. You can understand where I'm coming from. But just because in my mind and pretty much the world's mind, that is Christopher Reeve is Superman. That is how he acts. That's how Clark Kent acts, and it's perfect.
Yeah, and that's why even in Superman Returns, Brandon Routh was pretty much just being Christopher Reeve as much as he possibly could.
He did a really good job.
Yeah, and
in hindsight, if because they've been too long since I really sat down and properly watched those, I may have realized he was a better actor, and I may have been more excited about a lot of things.
Well, that's the thing, because he was still new at that point to the world. It just seemed
it's easy to think that's what he is.
Yeah, and then now that I've seen him in a few other things, seeing that he does have range, and then realizing that he was very intentionally going, okay, I'm going to do Christopher Reeve. Mm-hmm. Just like Kevin Spacey was okay, I'm going to do Gene Hackman. Almost better than Gene Hackman somehow.
Okay, so no, I'll do it when I do Superman Returns. Not about Kevin Spacey, but
can we keep talking about Superman?
Nope.
Please?
Nope, don't worry. We won't. This will take like 2 minutes because
that's right. Jonah Hex.
Which we watched a bit of our video from before. Full disclosure.
Yeah.
And while I enjoyed Past Us and thought we made some quite humorous observations,
maybe too much.
I didn't remember any of the shit they were talking about.
Oh yeah, apparently Will Arnett is in that movie.
Yeah, I've not seen it, so I'm guessing he plays some sort of dandy boy who made look the fool by Jonah Hex.
Well, you have seen it.
Well, I haven't seen it recently. I don't remember. This is entirely based on assumption, not based on memory. They play some sort of dandy that's made the fool by Jonah Hex.
Though I did like it because we were both talking about how we couldn't remember anything about Jonah Hex, and then we turned on the video of us, and the first thing that we say is, we just watched Jonah Hex. Well, we looked at the screen while Jonah Hex played for 70 minutes. So that makes sense that a lot of that's not committed to memory, because apparently we could not...
We watched it at Jonah Hex.
You couldn't make any sort of connection to that movie. 70 minutes.
We couldn't even.
Insane.
The worst thing is, we tried to name good things about it. We couldn't even say it was. At least it was short because it was too long still, and we said that before. And it's bad. It's super bad.
Yeah.
It has no redeeming qualities.
Nope. I got nothing.
I was about to say. I was trying to think of anything in the score. No, nothing that stood out. Like even you put John Malkovich in your movie and it didn't redeem it. That's how much you fucked up.
Yeah,
that's how
you
much.
Fucked up.
You fucked up bad. Let's get off that piece.
Alrighty, Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing. Respect. Not to be confused with Man Thing.
Swamp Man. Swamp Man Thing.
Man. Yeah. Man Swamp.
Which I know we talked about this before, but they definitely should have the opposite names.
It's true. Because
Swamp Thing is more like a man, and Man Thing is more just
like hulking vines. He looks like a tree.
So they really should have the opposite names. But yeah, Swamp Thing.
In the context of this marathon, not bad. For the context of this marathon,
pretty bad.
An average, late 70s, early 80s.
82, yeah.
Okay, yeah, early 80s sort of slasher flick. In fact, yeah, probably like a slightly below average slasher flick from that area. Yeah. So that was like sort of the heyday of them. There were some really good ones back then. Because Halloween was
it Swamp Thing or was it Return of Swamp Thing that just had almost like a gratuitous amount of nudity in it? Is that Return of Swamp Thing where there was like a sex party at some point?
Yeah, I feel like that's Return of Swamp Thing.
And the whole time I'm like, what?
Or was that Man Thing? Man Thing also had.
Well, I know Man Thing did because Man Thing had boobs before the
opening credits.
We talked about that.
Like pre-title boobs.
Must be a Lionsgate movie.
That is their calling card.
But yeah, it was Return of Swamp Thing where I'm like, why? What is happening?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Swamp Thing, it's sort of environmental, sort of just here's random fights.
Yeah.
The evil villain that turns himself into a Swamp Thing and then has to fight the good Swamp Thing.
But he was like related to the villain from the first one. I don't know.
So Swamp Thing,
I can't even distinguish Swamp Thing and Return of Swamp Thing in my mind.
I can. They look slightly different. Like the film quality, because they're so far apart.
Yeah, well, 7 years. So yeah, 89. Yeah, I don't remember much about the Swamp Thing.
I think I'm sorry, Clayton. We're gonna move on. I know you were waiting for the Swamp Thing section.
The Spirit.
The Spirit.
Two good movies that come together to form a mediocre one.
Two great tastes that taste awful together.
Yeah.
The Spirit. I don't know. I got nothing for The Spirit, so that's what you got. I've consistently held the same opinion of it, that it's doesn't know what movie it is and tries to be two different movies, and they both suffer from it.
People told me that before going in. They're like, when I first heard about it and when I had discussions about it, after it had come out, people always told me that exact same thing, that it just can't really decide on a tone. And so going into it, I was going to be very forgiving of it. I was like, I don't think that's necessarily a problem if you kind of have these things where it kind of goes back and forth, kind of.
No, because
but then it just does it so.
You can have
poorly.
You can have separate. You can have like two different tones. Like you can have.
Yeah, like in your comedy, at the end of the second act, when the friends aren't buddies anymore. What are they going to do?
I mean, yeah, you can do like serious drama and comedy and things like that, but you can't do making fun of something and being something.
Yeah,
those don't work.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the problem. It's
Like the closest
it's opposites, not two different tones. It is like diametrically opposite tones.
And it's. I'm trying to think of another word for it other than satire. Because you could do, because essentially that's the way you do it. Like if you do very good and you do a satire, you can make something that both is a thing and makes, like Shaun of the Dead. Yeah. Shaun of the Dead is a good romantic comedy. There's also lampooning romantic comedies. Like it is.
Also, it's a pretty good horror movie, and it's lampooning horror movies. Like
if you draw us as and Doctor Strangelove, a good satire can do that. Can make fun of the thing it is. But this is almost more like a spoof. But I hate using that word just because
of what it's tied to now.
Yeah, now like don't think spoof like scary movie and epic movie. Think of spoof like Airplane
or Spaceballs.
Yeah, Spaceballs or Airplane are just like it's sort of the drunk cousin of satire, in which if done well can be very good. Love Spaceballs, love Airplane, and I love that half of the spirit. I love it. Anytime Sam Jackson's talking, I'm just like, yeah, baby.
That's right.
But then they turn on and give me like 20 minutes where I'm supposed to take this genre seriously, and I can't do that as a viewer.
I just thought if you had like Spaceballs, where all of a sudden
it's like
they wanted you
drama.
To take it seriously.
Yeah, like Airplane, like when the plane's going down, everyone's like really nervous about
it. And they're like holding their hands, like
crying.
And Toy Story 3, accepting death. Like, wait, what?
Like you can't do that to a viewer because they won't. They'll reject the spirit. And I feel bad. Frank Miller. I mean, the technical aspects of the film. Were good. Like it was well shot. I mean, I'm sure it was a cinematographer sort of holding his hand, and he had help with Margot Rodriguez working at Sin City. But he could have, probably would have been able to do a lot more films after it had someone sort of. I don't know if he was a writer, and I don't know if just that he had built enough clout that no one could tell him, "Hey, rein it in." Mm-hmm. That's one of the risks around being writer and director because that's one of the big checks. Like if a director gets a script that's sort of crazy all over the tone like that, you can sort of focus it one way. But I mean, he's writer and director. He wrote it that way. He shot it that way, and that's why you end up with this mess. It's a lot like King Kong. Like no one was there to tell Peter Jackson, you're making some mistakes.
Yeah.
So the Spirit, I want to love it more, but I can't.
Batman Forever.
Batman Forever runs on pure nostalgia for me.
I mean, I stand by that movie. I know I probably shouldn't.
Pure nostalgia. I can't. I want to just like it, but I can't separate from nostalgia.
I was such a child of the early '90s Jim Carrey, kind of Chris Farley, that kind of humor. Mm-hmm. That was so important to me developmentally, as far as my sense of humor, that. Even looking back on all that stuff, it hits me right in the nostalgia bone. Like,
I feel that way about Mel Brooks. Like Mel Brooks. It is my young childhood sense of humor.
It's very hard to separate that from me.
Yeah, and I love Jim Carrey. And man, sidetrack. Spoiler alert: we sidetrack occasionally. I recently, I went through like a Netflix purge, and by that I don't mean I deleted a bunch of stuff on Netflix. I mean I watched a bunch of stuff on InstaQ to get it down under 100, baby.
Nice. I will never get there.
And 2 nights in a row, I watched a couple movies each night, but one night I watched Thank You, Philip Morris, and then the next night I had to watch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I need to see Philip Morris for the first time, and I need to rewatch.
And just 2 beautiful, very different performances by Jim Carrey, and just. That guy got some chops. Like, occasionally he'll do some stuff that's like, okay, whatever. But, when he brings it, that fucker brings it. So, Batman Forever, it's just complete wrapped in nostalgia. I want to think less of it, and I probably should, but I'm not going to.
I really like Val Kilmer as the Bruce Wayne Batman.
I find him a little soft-spoken. Like he's trying to come across as brooding. It just comes across as whispering.
Well, I don't think he would work in a Christopher Nolan world.
We all wear masks. Some of us wear masks.
What was that? I can't hear. Why can no one ever understand Batman in any incarnation? Maybe that's really what Michael Keaton had going for him.
Everyone can understand
every word he says. He doesn't change his voice ever for any reason.
Plus, man, I just remember the zany slide in Batman Returns, where like the bat signal goes up and like him and Catwoman are both leaving their date, and he like walks in, he like slides on linoleum into a room. He's like Kramer's into a room and walks up to Alfred. You're awesome, Michael Keaton. And I just saw the other guys again recently. Michael Keaton's still awesome. But Batman Forever is, I think, too wrapped in nostalgia for me to give a fair opinion. So.
Oh, now's where we're getting hairy. Gen 13.
Animated. Were there boobs? Were there animated boobs?
There were. Yes.
Yeah, because we got like the European cuts.
When we first talked about doing a post-mortem thing like a couple months ago, I was looking through this list and we were talking about it, and we started talking about Gen 13, and it was a while before we realized that we were actually talking about Generation X.
Yes.
From Marvel Marathon.
Which is basically the same idea. It's superpowered kids taken away to a secret boarding school. This one's a little more sinister.
Yeah, because...
This one essentially the villains are running the school because they're like, oh, we're going to use your powers for our, I don't know, the government or the Illuminati.
Whatever machine.
Yeah, the whoever association.
Aside from that, I remember very little about that.
Yeah, it wasn't awful, it just wasn't good.
I kind of want to watch the video that we made of that one, because I remember almost nothing.
I feel like at least there's a couple that ends up, and it felt very forced to me. Like, at least in my memory.
Oh, probably.
Because I remember, the tough jock guy ended up with, the rough and tumble girl. I don't know. I'm probably making all that up. I hope I am. I hope none of that is accurate.
I have almost no opinion on that.
I'm going to stop talking, because I feel like I'm making stuff up.
Superman 2. We talked a lot about this. Good thing we watched the Richard Donner cut.
Yeah. So good. Although still some weird things, like, how does Superman and Lois get back from the North? Superman loses his power. Like, that's going to be one of the big film mysteries to me.
Superman 2 is the one where he gives up his power, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's why they can't get back.
Well, no, yeah, so then...
Also, that's where you find out, do not insult Superman's masculinity. Oh, boy, do not emasculate Superman.
In almost any incarnation we've found...
Oh, my God.
As soon as you question his
manliness,
Kryptonian huevos...
You are a dead man with crushed testicles. That is a fact. That is going to happen.
Of that, we are certain. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I like the League.
Fuck you, I like that movie. I enjoy it.
I enjoy it too. If I hadn't read the books, I'd enjoy it even more.
Probably, yeah. I haven't read the books, so I enjoyed it even more.
You really should, though, just because then you get sequels.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of differences between the movie and the book, so it's still sort of like a new story.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst part about reading the books. That's probably the only bad part about reading the books, other than occasionally it gets super pretentious, is that it diminishes the joy of the movie. Although, I will always give the movie credit for adding Tom Sawyer, although that was a great idea. And that's actually because that was... Before, I sort of knew the other characters, but Tom Sawyer was the one I was most familiar with. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's really clever. Tom Sawyer's an adult, is a CIA agent.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, that sort of got me into the film, when I saw the trailers. And so, I love the premise. I will support the premise till I die. It's fantastic. And, yeah, it's a good movie.
I've always liked it. I'm sure it's not original, but it's the first time I had seen it when this first came out was I really liked how they did Jekyll and Hyde. How even when one
was in control,
and you could they would have conversations through reflections and mirrors and things like that. Just it really helped solidify the idea of the duality of this is two entities sharing a body, and that they are at odds with each other, but occasionally they can come together for a common goal. It's not just it's not just necessarily how the Hulk is usually portrayed. It's I'm Bruce Banner and now I'm mad and crushing everything. It's two distinct personalities that are at conflict, and I really enjoyed that. I thought it showed it very nicely, at least from when I was in high school.
Yeah, I enjoyed the portrayal of Jekyll and Hyde. It was well done.
Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin. Nice to meet you.
So many puns.
That's right. Our tweets were just counting the ice puns. Or the temperature
related puns. I don't think we need to talk about that.
I feel like
everyone knows about that.
Us and the rest of the internet have beat that dead horse.
Yeah.
Which deserves to die.
Yeah, so it's not that good. Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
I feel like you were using.
I feel like I'm using just like a lot of different like TV jingles.
Yeah.
I'll rock it by men in here in a little bit. Green Lantern.
Is that what
you're talking about? Green Lantern?
Yeah, Green Lantern.
Okay.
There are good parts to this movie.
There are, and watching it again, it strikes me it upsets me even more because they were so close to a good movie. Like it's not quite as much, but almost as much as X-Men Origins Wolverine.
It feels like not enough was done in the like outlining phase, like of the let's get the general. Like, make sure our whole story flows and has the right beats and makes sense.
Yeah, it didn't.
I think Origins had that too. Like, I feel like if you thought about everything first a little bit more.
Yeah, it didn't. Green Lantern did make smart use of the time it had, and also the biggest flaw is that they said movie 2 has to be the Sinestro Corps War. It has to be because people love that shit, and then they will pay gangbusters to see it on film. Except we would have paid gangbusters to see it on the third film, which unfortunately people did for Spider-Man 3, and they really fucked us on that one. But they had too much to set up for that. Like it's always you have to do Hal Jordan entering the Green Lantern Corps, then you have to do Sinestro's downfall, and then you can do the Sinestro Corps War. Those are three separate things because this had no Sinestro downfall. It was just he was weird for a bit. And then all of a sudden he decided...
Well, sure, I'll take the power of fear. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's just sort of like, oh, I think I'll have this. Like, he came to fear a completely different way, and it suffered for it. But
and I feel the villain was not properly realized. I forget the name of it. Parallax?
Yeah. The villain was poorly planned.
That's what I mean. Like, just that
was one of the reasons they wanted to use Parallax so they could explain the Yellow Lantern ring. Because then you explain Parallax and fear and all that and the emotion spectrum.
Yeah, Parallax could have been a good second movie.
Yeah, Parallax would have been a good second movie. Yeah, because Parallax could have been summoned by the fear. Because essentially, what happens in the comics is that Hal Jordan finds out that Sinestro has been ruling his sector as a Green Lantern through like fascism. And he's like, look, shit kept going wrong, and like I'm ruling them with an iron fist, and it's working. There's peace. And Hal Jordan's like, we don't do that. And he exposes him to the Green Lantern Corps. He gets kicked out, and he forever curses Hal Jordan. And then he eventually forms the Sinestro Corps. He forges the lantern and all that. And so if you want to do that, Parallax is actually originally the like fear spirit that took over Hal Jordan's body, and he like destroyed the Lantern Corps. So I wouldn't do it that way because that'd be too hard to do. But I think you could do sort of, and if you are writing the film, I'd be like, okay, well, he does this, and like the fear that's created by Sinestro ruling his sector of the galaxy like this, summons or awakens this ancient fear monster, and so in addition to fighting Sinestro and kicking him out, you then have this fear monster to deal with, which is, fun fact, the Green Lantern's weakness. Yeah. You could have made Hector Hammond a more realistic threat and just dealt with him as the villain.
Yeah, which is good, because I thought Peter Sarsgaard was... Yeah, is good, it's so close to a good movie.
It's so close to a good movie. Yeah, because it's not like the first. That's the thing. The first two acts still have some problems, and I'm sorry, Ryan Reynolds love her, but Blake Lively should not have played Carol Ferris. Nothing about her performance. In fact, I think I may have defended her back then, but just looking back on, I don't really remember anything about it that was good. I was maybe trying to be nice and give her the benefit.
I remember one of my favorite parts of the movie is when she recognizes. Yes. When she recognizes Hal Jordan.
But that's in the script.
I know, but I just wanted to throw that out there. It's still, I know I talked about it before. Still one of my favorite parts.
It's true.
But since I was 3. You can't just hide your cheekbones and expect me not to know you. He's like, oh shit, just that little moment was nice for me because I do like in movies when you kind of point out things like that.
Yeah, and just it's so close to a good movie. It's pretty upsetting especially because I know did you end up reading most of the Green Lantern, or did you? So at one point you were, right?
I don't think so. I don't think I've read much Green Lantern.
Maybe it was Erica who's doing that. There's some fat guy who's reading Green Lantern.
Ouch.
All fat white guys look the same to me. That's fact.
That is racist and accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Superman 3. That is the Richard Pryor one, right? Yes.
Oh, yeah. Buddy. Richard Pryor.
So, that movie did have Richard Pryor in it. So,
right there.
That's like 15 minutes of the movie that's really good.
Yeah.
Spread throughout.
Like, shockingly good, because it's Richard Pryor, and like, okay, I thought even that Stinkburger was going to drag down even Richard Pryor, but no way, man. You could, I'm confident you could put him in Goodbye Dragon Inn, and he's, whatever 15 minutes he was in, he would save. I love all the scenes and hate everything else about the movie. I think that's all I need to say.
Yeah.
The supercomputer that was the enemy. At least I'll give them that. It does explain why they introduced that acid. Because early in Act 1 or late in Act 1 or early Act 2,
pretty early, yeah.
They were introducing this acid that is safe unless it gets hot, and then it's super deadly to everything in the world. And I'm like, they're spending forever on this stupid chemical fire. Like, why is Superman?
And then they don't mention it again until.
And then Superman's like, oh, I know this chemical, and I'm gonna steal it from this camp, I guess.
It's probably expensive. Whatever. The Losers.
Yeah. Captain America's in this one.
I don't remember much about it.
The comedian of Captain America.
Yeah, I remember enjoying it as much as I thought that I would.
Huru fucking Zoe Saldana.
Oh.
I don't know Sergio well enough to say the name right in my brain right now. That's it. I'm like, I feel like there's an L in there somewhere. I'm like, I don't think there is. It's Cthulian.
At first, I thought you said Haru, as in Chris Farley's character from Beverly Hills Ninja.
Yes,
I was like,
Chris Farley.
Yeah, he is in that.
Sam, I've been telling you to see the doctor about that. He's not in every movie.
He is.
I see him there. His spirit.
He's with me always.
Losers, yeah, it's an action flick.
Yeah,
it's a good action flick with some fun writing.
I remember really enjoying some character cards or something with each introduction of each character. I think
I could see that.
The kind of mini title cards for each character. I remember liking that. If we're just talking about things you remember, Catwoman, Constantine.
Yeah, I like Constantine. I don't care what anyone says. I enjoy the movie. I like sitting down and watching Constantine. There, I said it.
I enjoy it. I don't think, however, it's not the kind of movie that I'm ever going to be like, I don't want to watch Constantine right now.
I'm also a fan of using religious mythos to tell stories.
Yeah.
So it's sort of pitching to me. And it's not a perfect movie by any stretch, but I enjoy it. And I'm not gonna fight anyone who doesn't want to enjoy it. But
yeah, no, I enjoy it. It's just that was the second time I saw it. I might watch it again someday, but not.
It was on at the Gateway when we were there for movie trivia one night. It was on TV.
Nice. Supergirl.
Well, those truckers are gonna rape Supergirl.
That's the only scene I remember, and that's because I had seen that scene before.
And I'm like, how fucked up is this? Do truckers just rape any woman they find?
Yeah, that's
not okay.
It's tough
truckers.
It's tough out there.
Truckers, if you're a trucker,
any woman,
don't rape women that you find.
Yeah, don't.
I know you may think, hey,
don't do that.
Rape's gonna be cool. Don't rape. This video has been brought to you by Don't Rape.
We support not raping.
Right? Not to be controversial or anything.
Yeah,
we're taking a hardline stance against rape.
We are very pro anti-rape.
Mm-hmm.
Red.
Clayton's still yet to see Red. I may have made that up. Was it you who hadn't seen Red? No, it was Clayton.
No, I've seen Red.
Because Clayton was going to watch it with us and he didn't.
That movie's great.
Mm-hmm.
The cast is phenomenal.
I should remember that we tricked Clayton into watching Batman and Robin.
That's right.
Hey, Clayton! You stupid son of a bitch. We planned it all, and then you had to watch the video so know that we planned it.
Forgot.
Red. The cast is just... I can't wait for Red 2. Red 2 is a thing.
That's right. I still one of my favorite parts of that movie is when Bruce Willis steps out of a moving like a
spinning
car, just like casually walks out the door and it like comes inches from his leg and just starts shooting like. So smooth.
You know what? Because my brain didn't go, that's impossible. My brain went, Bruce Willis probably gets out of cars like that every day.
Yeah, like.
So I'm going to the grocery store. Okay, I'm here. Car spinning off away.
Like that, and the way they shot it, it looks great. Like that could have, like, if you would ask me to shoot that, like, here's the effect, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Like, how to make that, to show what's happening and have it make sense.
It's almost like they get paid to make movies and you do not.
Wait, what?
I mean, it's almost like that. It's not that, but it is exactly that.
Yeah, it was phenomenal, and also the rest of the movie was great.
I think we're getting to the part of the marathon that happened with our videos where, like, when we get towards the end here, there's actually a lot of good movies. And in a marathon like this, where we're sort of making fun of a lot of the movies, it just gets to the point where, like, hey, that movie's kind of good. Like, and I feel like our comments are getting shorter and shorter.
You remember when you just said that we're getting to the part of our list when the movies are good?
Is this Superman 4?
No. That's still to come. Return of Swamp Thing.
Return of Swamp Thing. He's coming back. He's coming back. He's coming back.
We talked about Swamp Thing, and I can't distinguish the two.
We talked about the sex, I think.
All of my I was like I already anything that I said about Swamp Thing also applies to Return of Swamp Thing because they're the same thing in my brain. Mm-hmm. History of Violence. Great movie, and it was understandably, it felt really out of place for in the middle of our marathon.
Yeah, I think it hit it because we were in a mentally weakened state, hence part of it, and that it's just sort of the tone of it hit us in a weird place. It's like when Clayton watched the final part of Dr. Horrible immediately after watching The Dark Knight. Like, we come from the midnight showing of Dark Knight and then watched the premiere of Dr. Horrible Part 3, and he was just in a funk.
I bet.
And I really felt like I sunk into a funk after the History of Violence.
Yeah, it was great. I really
it's a great
movie.
In my mind, it suffers that it's not Road Perdition, which came shortly after and was in my.
His brother. He was like the guy that only showed up towards the end. Was it Jeff Daniels? That doesn't seem right.
No, I feel like it was. I think was it the mob boss from Batman Begins?
I thought it was someone more important than that.
It may be someone. It's been too long.
Speaking of that,
didn't he win an award or something for like? Didn't he get nominated for like the shortest on-screen time?
I know this is a thrilling video of me looking this up. So talk about Batman Begins.
Okay, Batman Begins. Yeah. Like, in hindsight, I'm afraid that Batman Begins is going to start a misunderstanding of the genre. And thinking that this is the only thing that can make good superhero movies. But it's an amazing film. It's just, like, if it's going to start a genre, it deserves to. If it's going to start that theme, it's because it's so good. And when I watched Batman Begins, and there's in the sort of Dark Knight series, I think as people are calling it now, the trilogy, Batman Begins had the most of sort of like the comic booky moments, I think. And then as it went on and on, it got fewer and fewer of those. There's a lot of fun comedy moments with Batman and Alfred as they're sort of design, putting the suit together, and just the training and the jokes, and there's a lot of different stuff in that. And so, while I am, as I've said before, nervous about the path it could lead the DC films, I am. It just, if it's going to derail it, it earned it. It earned to derail things. So jumping back real quick.
Yes, it was William Hurt.
Okay.
Which I remember. I now know why I was thinking of Jeff Daniels is because the scene in my brain was very similar to Looper, of just him behind the desk.
Yep. That's fair.
But, William Hurt. Yeah, his on-screen time is less than 10 minutes, but he got a supporting actor nod for that.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah. It's
a very intense scene.
Oh, that scene is so good.
It's very satisfying, because the whole movie is really just about tension. They're like the quick killings, which happen, they're pretty quick once the violence starts. So it's all about this tension, which is very good, but then by the end of this film, you need a payoff, and that delivers it. He's very good, and the way they built that scene in that.
Oh
that
yeah,
section.
now I'm just remembering how Ed Harris just like constantly being around and like messing with his family.
Yeah, because
and,
Ed Harris would make me nervous. Like, and I'm
all up in the moon, controlling your life.
Yep, and not even in the mob. So yeah, History of Violence is good, and yeah, that ending is very good. But Batman Begins, as I was saying.
Okay, I was gonna say I didn't listen to any of your Batman Begins things, so.
Essentially, what I was gonna say, it's extremely good.
Yes.
As most people know, and I said, I want people to understand that even though I will sort of often decry that I'm afraid of where the Dark Knight trilogy is going to take DC films, if it happens, if like my worst fears come true, it earned it. Like, it deserves the right to derail all the other franchises because it is so good.
Did you talk about Cillian Murphy?
I did not talk about Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy is really good.
He is, and it was odd because I actually hadn't seen 28 Days Later before this. I knew he was in Red Eye because I saw the trailers for Red Eye.
Red Eye is amazing.
It came out when I was working at the theater, and I was like, that dude has noticeable eyes.
Yep.
And so when I cast Scarecrow, I'm like, well, Scarecrow's gonna have creepy ass eyes, so that's cool. And then I loved him, and then after that, I seen 20 Days Later, I'm like, okay, this checks out. This guy's alright.
Also, Sunshine is really good.
Yes, I did see Sunshine since then as well.
Yeah.
So he was very good in that. Yeah, because I can't remember if I saw Sunshine first or if I saw 28 Days Later first, but I saw them both. Although only one of them has Doctor Who in it, I assume. I haven't done the math. But Doctor Who's in 28 Days Later.
Which one?
Chris Eccleston. He's the general.
I'd buy that. I haven't seen that in years.
Okay. It's very good. And it's why everyone associates that one song with zombies.
Watchmen. And
the back!
Mine was easier to get off that time.
Direction from the bottom is the way to go.
Watchmen. I think we've made our opinions very clear on Watchmen.
Doesn't it look like the shape of the alien skull from Aliens a bit?
A little. I haven't seen Aliens, so.
Rawr.
I mean, I've seen Alien. I know what they look like, I suppose.
Rawr. Needs a little mouth come out. But
this is why our videos last over an hour.
You know what? I'm sorry.
This right here.
Kurt's not here to tell us to stop, and neither is Clayton, because Clayton can't talk.
It's true.
And now he's pissed because now we're not making it the ghost because you can't talk about the ghost not talking. Is it the ghost? It's something.
I don't know. That's his
Anyways.
thing. Watchmen is super good. I love that movie. I love watching the super extended, like 4.5 hour version with everything shoved in there. Oh, it's great. I really like that tone for a comic book movie where it's just, alright, we're gonna use the damn book as a storyboard and go from there. And make it so incredibly true to the book that we're gonna change the entire ending and it's not gonna matter. Like I just realized now that I love that movie because it's so true to exactly what the book is, and then I'm like, it wildly changes the ending.
It doesn't wildly change the ending. It changes one major detail of the ending, but
yeah,
all the characters end up in the same place.
Yeah, but it's...
Although, they do get rid of that one line, and I'm sure I talked about at the time, but the scene with Ozymandias and Dr. Manhattan is completely different. No, it's non-existent, because he's like, fuck you, I'm gone. Yeah.
That moment of doubt.
Yeah, the moment of doubt's so good, and Dr. Manhattan refuses to validate his decision. And, like, that's the one time you see Ozymandias, like, oh, did I do bad? Oh, no.
Oh, I fucked up.
Oh, I fucked up. Oh, no. Plus, it's way worse in the movie because he kills like tons and tons of people compared to the book. The book he blows up New York.
Like just New York, like little.
This one, he's like, I'm gonna blow up every major city in the world. Like, fuck you, dude.
Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
Oh, we just now on Superman 4. That's right, Supergirl was before it.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Christopher Reeve. I'm sorry that's your like final stint as Superman on film. You deserve better.
I can't defend any part of that movie.
John Cryer's in it. That makes me like John Cryer even less. I didn't even particularly like him to begin with.
Oh, poor Ducky.
That's it. Moving on.
Road to Perdition. The other...
Oh, my God. Tom Hanks.
The other crazy this is not a comic book movie. What is happening?
Tom Hanks and Daniel Craig. And some kid.
And everyone else. That movie is super good.
Yeah, just...
I'm kind of bummed that it took me this long to see it.
Me too. I had no idea what it was about. It seemed like... I feel like I was confusing
like they're going on a road trip. It's a road, and they're going to go to perdition.
In my mind, I confused it with Finding Forrester. And I don't know how that happened in my brain, but those got linked together, and they're both like, they're just like lame character pieces about finding something. And man,
Find Forrester on the road to perdition.
There he is. But no, Road to Perdition. The ending's solid. The cinematography's great. Story's great. Acting's phenomenal. Just all around, like that is a good film.
That one's really good.
It's weird. It's a comic book. I don't know how I feel about reading that as a comic book.
Well, graphic novel.
I don't know how I feel about reading that as a comic book.
Well, I mean, it's graphic.
I'm sorry. I consider comic books and graphic novels the same thing. Deal with it.
For this instance, I would say that because it's not like it didn't come out in a series.
It doesn't
wasn't
matter.
Like go get your weekly issue of Road to Perdition.
So is Watchmen then a comic book? Because it came out in issues? Is V for Vendetta then a comic book because it came out in issues?
Yes.
Okay. I disagree with your assessment. And the only things I would consider a difference is Stardust is a graphic novel because it's mostly just a novel with pictures. Like, it's not actually like panels. Like, if it's panels, I'm sorry, it's a comic book. Deal with it. In my opinion. And I'm saying that because I don't belittle comic books. People like to say that. People like to use graphic novel in that way so they can, like, oh, it's okay that we're reading this comic book because it's a graphic novel. As if there's something wrong with reading a comic book. Like, no, I'm reading a comic book and it's
that's not even why I made the distinction. I made the distinction just because there is, I think there's a difference in how, because you're like, I can't believe that was a comic book. Like, I wouldn't believe that it would be a comic book. I can't see
reading that as a comic book because it's just so sort of character driven. And while like the film was viscerally striking, I think the most important thing is really the characters and the story, and that I think would be easier to get across in just sort of your traditional novel form. And you know what? I haven't looked at it. For all I know, it is exactly like Stardust.
Yeah.
But
for all I know, it came out in issues. I don't know.
That's true. we speak very definitively based on absolutely no knowledge of what we're talking about.
But you know what? This is the internet, and we have that right.
That's true. Fuck you, internet.
Stardust.
Which I was talking about.
So good.
So good.
A freaking
the perfect
Robert Downey Jr. Yep. He's in that. He's really really quick in the back.
He's flying around.
It's like man. George Lucas and Carrie Fisher and Hook. Like you can't even really tell it's them.
Like you miss
they're there. But also Robert De Niro is also pretty good.
I will maintain perfect date movie. For your average...
Well, you know what? Yes, because for the longest time I always said Princess Bride is the perfect date movie, but then also since Stardust is very Princess Bride-y.
Yes,
either one. As tone and
yes, they are both very good date movies.
Where it has something for everyone. Like there's comedy, action, fantasy. Like it covers all your bases.
Like in a pinch, if you're going to be nicer to the girls, When Harry Met Sally, because I love that movie. And it's one of the better written romantic comedies.
I will have what she's having.
Ladies. She's having the egg salad. I don't like egg salad.
I'll still have to stand by what I said.
You're allergic to egg salad.
Nope. I can't go back now.
Do you have an epinephrine pen? Because you were going to blow up like Veruca Salt.
You're going to roll me out?
Roll you out and you're going to die. Except you're going to miss that part where she dies.
Except that was not Veruca Salt. We both...
We're terrible. Violet Beauregard. I apologize for Veruca Salt. Not to the band Veruca Salt.
This is why we fail in the character section of the trivia.
Because we're so competent. That's what's the best thing about it. Like, Veruca Salt, nailed it, move on. We're bored, right?
Well, I think the thing is we both knew the joke, so we didn't get bogged down in the details of it.
That's true, we didn't care. And we're so very funny.
Superman Returns.
Wait, what were we just talking about? Stardust. When Harry Met Sally. And
perfect date movie.
Day movie, got it. Okay.
Superman Returns.
I forgot to... I can't mention Stardust without mentioning Want to Have Sex with Claire Danes, because that's what that movie accomplishes best. When I watched that movie, I'm like, man, it'd be awesome to have sex with Claire Danes, right?
Yeah, probably.
Which not because I didn't really know her. Like I knew she was in Shakespeare, but Shakespeare, I'm like, whatever. But Stardust, I'm like, man, I want to have sex with that star. She plays a star, but she's also a star. It's playing words. Anyways, Superman Returns. Superman Returns.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. Mm-hmm. It does have flaws. I think it's a bit long. It's
King Kong.
I don't know if it has it's longer. I wouldn't. Well, I haven't seen King Kong, so I can't speak to it.
It's not as bad as King Kong, but its flaws come from the same point that King Kong was. Is that Zack Snyder, right? No, it's Brandon Singer. Bryan Singer, Brandon Routh, Bryan Singer. It feels like a movie that was made by someone.
Brett Ratner.
I thought it was Bryan Singer. I thought Brett Ratner was the one who took over for Bryan Singer when he left.
That's right, yeah, because it was Bryan Singer for X-Men 1 and 2. And
fact check yourself, you fuckers.
So the director of Superman Returns.
It really feels like a movie that was made by someone who had wanted to make a Superman movie since they were a little kid, loved Christopher Reeves, and was going to do it, and didn't have anyone to tell him, like, you're making some mistakes.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to make a Superman 3. I'm going to make Superman 3 as if 1 and 2 happened and 3 and 4 didn't, and no one's going to tell me no.
That seems to be a running problem with a lot of these... with a lot of the DC properties. And so I wonder if that comes down to a matter of DC not necessarily not policing that, or not feeling that maybe they don't feel like they had the clout to police that. They're just happy to get their things out and make their licensing fee or whatever.
Well, until it exploded in such a way it didn't. Until Marvel had the balls to say, we're going to put some serious money into making cohesive crossover, tonally similar movies.
Well, when they had their own studio, when they said, "I'm to retire to studio involvement, we care about our properties and we want to see them done right."
Yeah, that was a big step, and it could have just blown up in their faces. They could have been massively indebted.
But I think the big thing is they had the whole time. It's like the Pixar Brain Trust, where they're like, we have people who want to make this a good movie and not just. We want to make $1,000. Yeah, $1,000. That's the goal. $1,000.
Buco bucks.
So I guess that says a lot about how much money I make. When I'm like, man, Iron Man's gonna make like $1,000.
I'm dying. Oh my god. So yeah, you spent 4 years of your life making movies that gets $1,000.
$1,000. Split between all the crew.
It's like $4 a year, baby. For everyone. Oh my god. You're so poor.
But yeah, so they cared about cared about making a good movie that represented their characters well, and I think that was a huge step for comic book movies, and them being taken seriously, because obviously these characters work, and there's the characters have already been tested. They've been tested for 40 years. Some of them, some more than that. So I think it's fun. That now they're just like, well, we needed to show how good that they can be truly, and yeah, then money's gonna come in.
Yeah, I tell you what though,
people will pay to see that.
What Superman Returns did right is casting.
Yeah, dude.
Holy
shit, it did.
Everyone in that movie, everyone in that movie's favorite. Yeah, from Parker Posey to Brandon Routh to
Kevin Spacey,
Cal Penn, Parker. Yeah, oh my, what's Cyclops?
Oh, James Marsden.
Yeah, James Marsden. Who played Lois Lane? She also did very good. Just everyone hit it exactly right. So in Fred Claus, Kevin Spacey plays like this. Kevin Spacey plays like this.
Kevin Spacey's in Fred Claus?
Kevin Spacey in Fred Claus, so get your head around that. Okay, so Kevin Spacey in Fred Claus
that movie eventually.
Plays this efficiency expert who's sent in to make sure the North Pole runs efficiently, and if it doesn't, they're gonna close it down. And
I fucking love this movie already. Is that what that's about?
Yeah, and he's and he's miserly, and he's trying to he's the villain. He's trying to ruin end Christmas forever. Then you find out it's because he didn't get a gift he wanted when he was a little kid, of course, because that's why everyone hates Santa Claus. And what he wanted was a Superman cape, and it's great because at the end, Paul Giamatti is Santa Claus. Well, it's not whatever. It's not. Good guys win.
God, shit.
So he's Kevin Spacey's in there, and he wraps his Superman cape around his shoulders. And first off, there's this great speech because
Kevin light up like a little fucking kid.
Yeah, and it's just great because I'm like, fucking Lex Luthor just had a Superman cape wrapped around him, and he's as happy as could be, and that's 100% true. If Lex Luthor could be Superman, he would be the best Superman ever. He would save the world from everything, and he just has this massive inferiority complex because he can never get there. And it's just surreal seeing Kevin Spacey do it. And by the way, there's actually... That movie has flaws. Obviously, it's Fred Claus.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I never heard much about it, but
Paul Giamatti, who is just can make anything amazing. He's a fantastic actor.
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, Vince Vaughn is Fred. He gives this speech to him about Superman, essentially about Superman and Clark Kent, because like Kevin Spacey's character has glasses, and he just gives this, just the tone and like texture to this speech. I might play it for you on YouTube after because it's so good. And I'm like, hell yeah, Paul Giamatti. I've only seen the beginning and end of Fred Claus. I've never seen the middle of it.
Really?
I assume wacky hijinks ensue and bad things happen. But...
There's an act 2?
Apparently there's an act 2. But yeah, it's just, I want to share the world that I've recently seen the end of that, and Kevin Spacey is getting Superman cape. So what else we got?
Is it?
No, we're good. Most bad.
Alright.
What's next? V for Vendetta, right?
Yes, V for Vendetta. Great Hugo Weaving. Fucking great Natalie Portman.
Did we skip The Dark Knight?
We did. I had it selected, so I did not see it.
I feel like everything we've said about Batman Begins falls to The Dark Knight.
Yeah. Spoilers, Heath Ledger was good in that. So was everyone else.
Yeah. V for Vendetta, Hugo Weaving, who we recently saw in The Hobbit. Because we're doing this in December and not in July.
Yeah.
It's very good. Natalie Portman's good in it. He's
really good. And that was one of the first movies, I think, kind of, because it was sort of post Attack of the Clones.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, because it was 2006, so it was even 7. So yeah, it was even after 3.
Yeah.
After she was kind of done with her Star Wars commitments.
We're like, oh, okay, that's what you can do.
Yeah, and we're like, oh man, because I've been a fan of hers since she was Padme back in Phantom Menace.
Stephen Fry.
That's right.
Stephen Fry, very good in it.
The other Hurt, John Hurt, is in that. The one who I always thought him and William Hurt were the same person, and could not figure out why they were always looked different.
And then, the Settler and the voice of London, what's his name? He's also in Speed Racer, another Wachowski film, which... Oh,
that's right, yeah. I know who you're talking about. I don't know his name.
Yeah, I know his name, but good on you. I really enjoyed your part, even though you were naked for a bit of it. It's weird. But...
V for Vendetta is great, and someone was telling me recently how they hadn't seen it, but they'd only seen like the first 10 minutes of it. I was like, oh, so you've seen the part where it's like they did this thing. God damn Baymask. Okay, you good? You good?
I'm trying. Hold these.
Okay.
Oh, I'm throwing mine away. I'm throwing mine like yours.
It's probably safe. It's probably the safe thing to do.
So V for Vendetta, right?
So they were like, have you seen... so I was like, oh good, you've seen the part where Hugo Weaving gets introduced and he says the big monologue about all the bees. Yeah. And I'm like, so you've seen the best part. Like, that movie's great, but...
Yeah.
That's a hell of an introduction.
It's true.
What else? Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, but obviously if I say anything about V for Vendetta, I really enjoy that movie.
Yeah. We both bought it on Blu-ray on the same day.
That's true. That's crazy. It wasn't like $10.
Yeah.
But also, that is one, while I enjoyed both the movie and the graphic novel, and while Alan Moore will tell you how it is a demon spawn and the movie ruins everything about it.
Alan Moore's want to do.
I feel they're close enough similar, but I still enjoy them both. It's not at all like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I'm like, well, this is clearly better. And that diminishes my enjoyment of that. They are both slightly different, but both very enjoyable, and neither takes away from the other.
No, and beautifully done. I like how there's like hidden V's fucking everywhere in that movie.
Yeah.
Dark Knight Rises. So then it was all leading up to that. And now, I've seen it on Blu-ray recently. Like, that's how long it's been. It is. The last video was recorded on the opening weekend, and then...
To be fair, it came out like a week ago.
So
it's for the holiday season, so...
Yeah, so it means it was an extra long wait on that. It's been 5 months. that movie, it's good.
It is good. Its biggest flaw is that it's not The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Which we ranking that fodder for. My biggest problem with it is that it didn't have nearly as many what I call comic book moments. Which is really like they let the darkness and stuff sort of take a side, darkness and grittiness take a side seat to like, okay, you know, occasionally there are jokes and we are going to like have a few laughs or weird moments. Like Catwoman has some, which I love. And the absolute best one is when he first comes back as Batman, and the introduction of that is
45 minutes into the movie.
It's perfectly done though, and like the lights go out in this tunnel, and there's an old cop and a young cop, and the young cop's like panicked around. And the old cop's like, "Oh boy, you fucking get ready, because you're gonna be telling this story forever. Like this is the coolest shit you're ever gonna see in your life." And then just the fucking bat movie or the bat pod just fucking takes off through this tunnel, and you can almost feel the old cop going, "Fuck yeah!" Woo! That is to me the highlight of the movie. Like there's lots of good stuff, but that's the highlight of the movie. Is that one awesome moment?
That and reaction to him was mixed, but I really like Bane.
I like Bane.
Hence the masks. But
yeah, I like Bane. I don't.
I'm a big Tom Hardy fan.
People are anti-Bane. What was the Bane problem?
I think just like they didn't. I know some people said that he, like, the way that he went out sucked. He just got like shot by Catwoman. They felt his whole goal was kind of undermined by it was Talia's plan all along.
I guess, but I mean, he's still.
I think there's just a lot of people not liking his motives. I think his motives were not great.
And he's the League of Shadows, and his plan is a little
League of Shadows, and he's like, "But I'm still going to destroy everything. But I'm going to take 5 months to do it and let you heal."
That's the problem. It's the Bond villain syndrome. Like it's the you need to suffer and watch this happen. You need to slowly watch this happen. Like when you should just blow up Gotham if you're going to get rid of it. Because you know what, you're not going to make any more of a statement. It's not like the Joker where he was like, "I'm going to watch the city tear itself apart."
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm going to make the city live in fear and watch you and like
and
see them all
hope, and then you're going to die. Yeah. Though it's kind of funny in that respect that the moment where he'd finally decided, fuck it, I'm just going to kill you, is when he gets shot. Like how when Talia's like, let him feel the fire burn him as the mom, and then she leaves and Bane's like, I'm just going to kill you, right? Like we're not.
No, I'm just going to kill you, right?
Like, I guess you'll have to imagine the fire. Like, which I think is great. I like that line. Like, her Bane's like, fuck that. No, I'm just going to shoot this guy. Mm-hmm. But then gets shot. I
mean, I'm alright with it, because you know what? The Banes of the world are operating on a lower level than the Al Ghuls of the world. Mm-hmm. So, Talia should be pulling Bane strings. If Bane's around, Bane should either be like completely outclassed by Talia or working for him, and he is, so
yeah.
So deal with it. Man, the worst kept secret in the world, by the way, Talia al Ghul. No, Marion Cotillard is totally gonna just be.
She's gonna play Catherine Tate, a board member of the thing, and everyone's like, "Oh, so Talia al Ghul." And he's like, "What?
No,
no."
Oh, it's a twist.
Oh, we got all these set pictures of her like in these robes, like so she's Talia. Well, no, those are. That's not right.
I knew it was wrong because essentially, if you want a rich person to serve,
we just like Liam Neeson's coming to shoot a scene, and it's like the sort of flashbacky thing. Like, so she's playing Talia, and he's like, well, no.
Come on, guys, don't be a dick.
Can I just make my movie, please?
Stop being a dick, internet. Yeah, because honestly, it's completely blown. Because you know what? If they were going to have just sort of a rich woman to be to be at that point of view, to be that thing, there are like a lot of other rich women, like Veronica Vreeland, who I always forget from the Batman the Animated Series. Like, there's already existing characters, and they've done such a good job of using all the characters that they would just have named her that.
And you would not have cast Marion Cotillard
as like random. Actually, I mean, you could. You could have a part that is like a rich person who does something important to help the world. It's just that.
Yeah, but I think your typical movie casting, like that character would not be Marion Cotillard. Like,
You could.
You get her when you need someone exotic, and Talia al Ghul is that character. I think that's the biggest reason why people were like, oh, so she's Talia, because she's a great Talia. Like, like it fits her.
Yeah. So, but it's the worst kept secret in the world. But no, I'm totally fine with Bane being sort of a lackey, for lack of a better term.
Oh yeah, that's what I said. Like I like Bane, and I'm a big fan of Tom Hardy. I thought he did great.
Yeah, the plot, but you know what? All the plots, The Dark Knight also suffered from just sort of like, wait, what's your fucking plot now? Like, just kill people. Like the Joker, you can sort of forgive it because the dude's fucking insane. Yeah, but with Bane, it just so it comes across like you're just a shitty Bond villain who's dragging this out and just giving the hero long enough to kill you.
Yeah.
So I'll give that, but you know, I'll be damned if I didn't enjoy watching it.
But man, Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow running the Kangaroo Court.
Yes,
is great.
Clayton was very sad.
Exile or death? Like, we take death. All right, death by exile.
He was so pissed. Like, you were not fun. Let me do this. Clayton was very upset that they didn't. I'm not even sure this from the comics. It probably is not at this point. But at one point, Two-Face actually got a third personality. Who was like?
Oh man, I have all these two related memorabilia. What am I going to do now?
Who essentially, he didn't know it though. Essentially, he became the judge. Spoiler alert: if you're watching that episode, the judge is Two-Face. You find out in the end. But essentially, he was like as murderous as Two-Face, but he would kill criminals. He would like exclusively punish the wicked. And so Clayton, the second he saw the Kangaroo Court, he was like, "Oh fucking! If only Two-Face were alive, the judge could be rocking this, and how sweet would that be?" The Scarecrow's after look. Boss as hell. I just use boss as an adjective. Deal with it, internet. It looks sweet.
Yeah, I was waiting to see how they would use him again because I knew they would. Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I wish that we could have seen what Dark Knight Rises would have been like with Heath Ledger.
Yeah, who knows what they would have done.
There's one thing that I'd love to talk to Chris Miller. I know he's never going to talk about it. But it would have been nice to know kind of what his plan was. Like, well, we still had Bane. We could have seen Bane and Joker interact, because I want to see the shit out of that.
The length between them, it almost feels like they hadn't really wrote it. So I'm sure they talked about some stuff they could do, but I don't think they had any definite plans. Like, this is absolutely what we're doing.
Yeah. And
it really feels like this is what they wanted to lead to, is going back to the League of Shadows.
Yeah, definitely.
So I just really don't know what it would have been. I still am confident that. Well, I'm confident you can make a good next Batman movie. I'm almost as equally confident that they are not going to. That the next Batman movie will
be another reboot.
It's going to be another franchise. It's going to be another reboot, but did I say it in the video? I feel like I've gone over this in the video. How I would do it. Oh, fuck it, I'll say it again, just because Clayton hates when we repeat things. So fuck Clayton. Just I would do it essentially. You don't want to see an origin story again. Like, and first off, the original Batman movie, they just started like fucking deal with it as Batman. We're gonna talk about like his parents and stuff. Just deal with the fact that he has his gadgets and stuff. Since we've already seen that, people don't want to see it again. Even if it's a different continuity Batman, we've seen sort of how he can become.
People know. People are aware of how Batman started.
Yeah, so essentially what I would do is I would start off.
Wait, he's an orphan?
I would start off with him taking a like lesser villain, like maybe a Penguin or a Scarecrow or someone, like into Arkham Asylum and like tossing him in, and then you could have like the Joker laughing in the background and stuff, and just start with like this cool action scene of Batman. That way you see like Batman's been running for a while and he has like it's stable of villains in this world, and then you sort of set the tone and go from there. You have to go, I would say, try to get a medium between sort of the Tim Burton and the Christopher Nolan. And hit there, and then just go from there with a fuller stable of villains already established, and then
so kind of more in line with a sort of Marvel tone.
I would say it's Batman, so it's gonna be darker than the Marvel tone.
But like as I said, like more close to that, where it's
close to that, where it feels like it's not like a terrorist is fighting this sort of good terrorist. Which is sort of how the Batman movies come across now. Like there's this one like crazy dude who's fighting all these terrorists and mobsters. Like make it feel more like superhero fighting supervillains.
Yeah.
And have it be a thing, because the Joker came along, he was just a psychopath running with a bunch of mobsters, and then Bane was part of this League of Assassins, the Ancient Ninjas, and all this.
Yeah.
So that was sort of that world, but the Nolan Batman never felt like the sort of world where I was like, okay, like this is the sort of world that could, even though I know how you would do it, like this is the sort of world that's going to produce a Riddler, and then a Penguin, and then a Clayface, and then a Poison Ivy, and all these villains. It's not going to keep producing those. So you want to set a tone that feels like it already is that world.
Gotcha.
And you need to. I think starting there, first off, you'd avoid having the Joker. You'd like reference the Joker by having him sort of laugh in the beginning. Get Mark Hamill if you can. And then, because you don't want to do Heath Ledger, you don't want to do Joker again so soon, because everyone's gonna be like, it's not Heath Ledger, and whoever they get, they're not gonna be Heath Ledger.
Yeah. I think they should cast Johnny Depp as the Joker. It says
every tweet ever. Yeah. Although imaginary Dr. Parnassus, that worked out all right.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you had Johnny Depp and Jude Law and Colin Farrell all playing Joker, then maybe it would work. They could follow
a trio of Jokers, the sons of Joker. But just, I don't know where my biggest problem with Dark Knight is. I don't know what the world's supposed to do from there. What DC is supposed to do from there. Like we see Superman now, but Superman almost feels like it's too late. Like I'm sure it's gonna be very good, but Superman comes out and be like, okay, well that's all and good, but we've moved on from this Batman. Like, if that's the tone they're going for, if they try to make Batman movies along with that, it's going to be shitty versions of Christopher Nolan movies. Yeah, and that's what you can't do. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I know I've clearly come down that, and I want to stress that I really enjoy them. I have pretty strongly come down consistently that those are like as dark as you would want to do superhero movies, and I prefer them sort of lighter than that. Yeah, a little less gritty than that. But having said that, like this is not me talking. This is me saying, okay, you stay on this gritty line. You try to do another Batman. It's gonna be worse than Christopher Nolan's, and everyone's gonna hate you for it. So you have to be in a different part of the spectrum.
So what do you think? Because I mean, they're gonna go forward on a Justice League movie. Mm-hmm. I think they're shooting for 2015 to compete with the Avengers.
Yeah, that's the other option.
And so what do you think that they do? What, like, because Batman, I mean, it's got to be there if they're gonna try to put together a Justice League thing.
Does he though? They have the rights. Oh, I guess it's Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it's Warner Brothers. They have all the DC. So I mean, they could do it.
So I think what they're going to do if they're shooting that early, and this is another option, is that's where how Batman gets reintroduced is in the Justice League movie.
Do you think you just have new Batman and it is a separate thing from the Christopher Nolan?
Yeah, because you can't do because that. Well, people say like, oh, he couldn't fit in a Justice League. He could if you're a good writer, and people, Christopher Nolan's a good writer, and if you want to do a Justice League movie, he would do a fucking Justice League movie. People, the Justice League is not the Super Friends. Mm-hmm. Like, you can do good stories with the Justice League. There's a lot of really emotional, good stories. There's Kingdom Come. There's a lot of good stuff with the Justice League. So, I just get a little insulted when people sort of suggest that sort of stuff. I'm like, fuck you. Just because you like the Dark Knight doesn't mean the comic books are bad. Like, you can't make excuses just so you don't sound like you like this comic book movie.
So I think the weird thing about the Justice League movie is I'm really curious to see how casting would go down. Because at that point, we'll have had, like Green Lantern. Like, do they may get Ryan Reynolds, but they haven't done the lead-up movies for a lot of these, like, like Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, like, so is it going to be this thing where we've got Ryan Reynolds, and then here's everyone else, just kind of put them in there, and then also a new Batman?
To be perfectly honest, you know what they might do if they do a Justice League movie? It might be 4 people. The Justice League might be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and
Flash.
Probably whatever series they want to launch next. Mm-hmm. So probably Flash because Green Lantern's a little too fresh for people's mind.
Patrick Harris is Flash.
I'm not. I mean, he could, but there's nothing about him that I'm like, oh, he has to play Flash.
Like, I can't think of anyone who I would look at and go, oh, they have to play Flash.
That's true. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's some people I would know. No, it's hard to say. But I could see it doing that, sort of like Flash, Wonder Woman. Because Wonder Woman, they've been building for a while. You can do sort of Wonder Woman, and you can touch on their origin. Because Wonder Woman doesn't really have an origin story. She's from this island. Yeah. You can just sort of hint at her, and she's there to help the world crisis and sort of talk about her, not go into like, oh, here's the history of the lasso and the history of the bracings and all that stuff. Just sort of touch that she's from, she's an Amazon and all this. And then Flash, you could do like a full origin story with him. You could tie it into even the villain story somehow. Yeah. So it's possible. I think it'd be very small. Honestly, if they want to avoid that, they could even go... I don't think they will because they'll want to spawn extra series. They could just go a Batman-Superman. They could go the world's greatest, just a Batman-Superman team up. Because that would... Because those are the...
I think I'd prefer a Justice League to that only because...
I would prefer...
It would be a new Batman.
Yeah, I would prefer.
And so you get Henry Cavill and some dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's what I'm really concerned about now. Because essentially, if the Henry Cavill Superman, which really looks like a Superman that they're trying to say, okay, well, here's the Dark Knight version of Superman. Mm-hmm. Where do you go from there with Batman?
Which hopefully, for all we know, the movie isn't quite as dark as the trailers make it seem. It could just be the trailers trying to bank on that.
That's true. The trailers might just be banking on that.
Because I think the newest trailer, while dark, is less dark than
the teaser. The teaser was. I'm like, this is like an art house film. This is like the Kill Bill speech equivalent of this movie. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'll obviously go see it. Mm-hmm. They don't have to advertise.
No, I'm going to boycott this movie.
That ticket's sold. I'm sure we'll do a follow-up video. 3 years from now. We kind
of have to watch every Marvel and DC movie now.
Right? To the end of time, right? Yeah. We'll be 80-year-old men. I thought the Man-Thing 12 sucked.
No, let's not be hasty.
Man-Thing 11 sucked.
Remember what came before. This is definitely improvements.
I don't pick Man-Thing to be the series that gets 12 movies.
Lionsgate.
That's fair. Lots of boobs.
Look how many Saws they did.
Yeah, they shat those things out, and they were shit after a while.
I only watched the first 3. That's as much as I could handle.
To be perfectly honest, 1 was the only really good one.
Yeah.
2 and 3 had promise that were unrealistic.
I take that back. It could have been. I don't remember 3 now.
By 4, twists were things that they told you in the first scene.
I just recently watched a great video of that broke down all of the Saw movies, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I remember I watched it because Steve had seen it before, and I was watching it in the apartment, and in this opening scene, essentially in the start of 4, the detective is investigating one of the bodies from 3, one of the extra random traps.
Yeah.
It shows them investigating. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. This one takes place the same time as 3, then, huh? And he's like, huh. I'm like, what? He's like, that's the twist in this one. I'm like, what? And yeah, sure enough, get to the end of that movie, and the twist is, the guy walks in, and it's, the last room from the last movie. I'm like, the fucking first scene establishes that they happened at the same time. How is that your twist? I was so fucking frustrated.
It's like how in The Village, I, wasn't paying attention when they showed, a gravestone that said some earlier date. So I just assumed that this was, a commune place.
I see, yeah.
It was all by itself. So then, they're like, oh, what is this, a modern road? I'm like, yeah, probably.
I know, before going into this, Clayton, before going into the movie, Clayton was like, I just hope it's not something stupid like it's in modern times, because that's probably what it is. Because that's what it is. If you were going to look okay, there's some twists, it's probably there's modern times. And fucking look, it was. Big whoop. But also, that's why we don't look like rustic hillbillies anymore, because fucking medicine. Fuck you, people of the village. So, that's the Dark Knight Rises.
So, in conclusion, for DC Dementia, fuck you, the village.
People of the village. Also the movie The Village.
Yeah, also the movie. And Unbreakable was great.
Yeah, this marathon hurt. We're going to do more in the future.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed that we took such a long break, because I did really love doing these.
We didn't have time. Honestly, we needed a break.
Yeah. Well, we should have taken a longer break in between them, and then.
It was the necessity of the 2 movies coming out so close together.
Definitely.
So we really had no other option. This wouldn't be as.
I think if we had come up with the idea sooner, we could have started the DC before Avengers had come out. At least spread that out a bit.
Well, there are a lot of things we could have done, but what we did do is watch a lot of fucking movies from a lot of fucking comic books, and
record a lot of videos about them.
So I hope you enjoyed these 15 hours of commentary on movies.
16 now.
16. Woohoo!
So subscribe. Tell your friends.
The best thing is...
That's what people do on the internet, right?
The best thing is Clayton had to watch every last damn second of these. And I can't wait to make him watch another, hour 22?
Yeah.
So, I guess in conclusion, out of all these marathons, we've done one thing. It's fuck Clayton.
And also The Village sucked.
And Eric's the worst. Eric is the worst. Now's the time to say goodbye to all our company. M-I-C-K-E-Y O-M-O-U-S-E.
Good night, John Boy.